The Mustang Mach E has been selling in record numbers, but there have been some complaints about the vehicle, some of them kind of serious. But it looks like now Ford has finally decided to listen. Let's see what's going on. My name is Eric, and this is RevMatchTV, and if you're not already subscribed, hey, what are you doing? I'm bringing you interesting news and reviews several times a week. So if you've driven a Mach E or any other kind of electric car, you're probably aware that there's something called a charging curve. And that means when you're charging the vehicle, when you're going from a low state of charge to a high state of charge, things tend to taper off as you get closer to the vehicle getting a full charge. And this has been sort of an issue for the Mustang Mach E. They claim that you can go from about 15% to 80% charge in 40 minutes, which is true. But once you get to that 80% point, it kind of drops off a cliff quite precipitously. I had a test vehicle for about a week, and that was my experience too. When you're at a DC fast charger like Electrify America, EV Go, something like that, and you're on the road, you want to get to a higher state of charge. Once you hit 80%, it just drops off a cliff. This graph is from Inside EVs, and it kind of illustrates the point that I'm talking about with a DC fast charger. And this is their experience on the Mustang Mach E, the all-wheel drive version, the extended range edition. Now, my experience was a little bit different than this. I actually had a better charging curve than this, at least in my experience, but I had a pre-production vehicle, so the final software probably wasn't set up on that. But you can see here, Ford says for the first 15 minutes or so, they aim to get as much charge into the vehicle as possible. The maximum charging rate is 150 kilowatts, but then it drops off. So here you can see it on this chart here with Inside EVs. This is their test vehicle. You can see it actually dropped off here to 100 kilowatts, and then once you got up to 40%, it dropped down to something like 75. But when you get up to 80%, it drops off a cliff, and I was seeing maybe 10, 12, 13, something like that. And so it takes a long time to go from 80% to 100%. It takes a couple of hours at that point. So that is the DC fast charging curve conundrum. This doesn't happen when you're charging at home. So why does Ford do this? So in the Mustang Mach E, the total battery pack size is almost 100 kilowatt hours, but usable is about 88. And Ford does this so that they are conservative with fast charging to ensure that the battery is going to keep the 70% charge during or up to the end of the 8-year warranty. So they're very, very conservative with that right now. And so a lot of Mustang owners have been complaining about the fact that once you get up to 80%, it just drops off a cliff when you are on a road trip. So Inside EVs had a very interesting podcast here, and they are reporting that the Mustang Mach E, the fast charging update, is coming very soon. So in fact, Ford is going to change the charging curve, and that's going to make a pretty big difference to owners of this who are doing road trips. I actually do have a Mustang Mach E GT Performance Edition on order. Not exactly sure when I'm going to get it. I'm hoping for November at this point, but you know, with the whole chip shortage thing, we're going to have to see what happens. But my build date is in the 3rd week of October. Inside EVs had an interview with Darren Palmer. He is the general manager for electric vehicles at Ford, and I'm going to link this video down here in this article. You should definitely go check it out if you want to get the full interview with that. I'm just going to show you some very short clips. But essentially what is happening is that Ford says, or Darren Palmer from Ford says, that they're going to change this cap, this 80% cap, and make it a little bit higher, perhaps as high as 90%, depending on how owners are using the vehicle.
We're going to change the top charge point, let's say near a 90, so that if you want to, you can push it to 90, because this is one of the largest range cars in the world. One of only few, and we want them to be able to make maximum use of it.
Now, if you use DC fast charging a lot, it is going to degrade the battery to some degree, but Ford says that 95% of the users are charging at home. So they're basically looking at usage, and they're going to be able to deliver you more charging, this faster charging rate up to 90%, and charge the vehicle faster with an over-the-air software update. And also there's some additional exciting updates coming too, and they are saying they're going to roll out Blue Cruise in the fall, September, October timeframe. So Blue Cruise is Ford's sort of answer to the Tesla Autopilot, although I'm sure everybody would hate to hear that comparison, but essentially Blue Cruise allows you to drive hands-free on the freeway under certain mapped freeways. I don't know how many miles, but something like 1,000 miles in the US, where the roads are pretty straight and you can actually take your hands off the wheel completely. So it's not fully autonomous. They're not claiming that, but they are claiming that you can drive hands-free for quite a distance, which is pretty nice. So that's going to get rolled out for people that have purchased that very shortly.
And so you're going to see Blue Cruise coming in now in September and October for the whole for everywhere that it's valid, and you're going to get range improvements and other improvements as well.
Now with the Mach E GT, Ford says you can take this thing to the track, but when you take it to the track, you're going to be pushing the thermal load up quite a bit. So Ford, they say that they have listened, and they are going to be able to have the vehicle adapt to this, so you're going to be able to get consistent lap sessions, lap after lap. Now, some of the initial owners of the Mach E GT have been taking them to the drag strip, and while they're seeing mid-12s on the quarter mile time, the trap speed, the speed that you hit at the quarter mile, that's only around 100 miles an hour, which is quite slow and quite interesting. So I'm wondering if there's another mode that Ford could provide that's going to give you like all the maximum whoomp, sort of like cheetah mode on the Tesla.
So we have also managed the thermal management system, and we have a specific mode for track driving, and that track driving optimizes the car to give you the most.
I was just at the Ford F-150 Lightning event where I got to go in the truck and check it out. I've got a very detailed video on that. You should definitely go check it out. And one of the key things about the Lightning is that they have this thing called bi-directional charging, so that you can hook it up to your house and essentially power your house for 3 to 11 days if the power grid goes down. And you need a special 80 amp wall charger from Ford to do this. Maybe you can get one aftermarket as well. But my question is, can Ford, or would they enable bi-directional charging for the Mustang Mach E? It has a pretty big battery pack. I wonder if you could use that to power your house as well. That would be a really cool, interesting feature. I'd be looking forward to that. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell too. My name is Eric. See you in the next video.